Jess Cervellon as one of the most recognizable faces in CX, one of the stars of the DTC world, one of the most in-demand people, and I am lucky enough to have her here.
I actually am more of a marketer than I am a CXer because my ethos as a marketer comes from the heart of being customer obsessed, and why I've now created the Open Link Collective.
That is their loss. I know what it's like to not be considered because you don't have the traditional background, and guess what? Here we are anyway. Listen to anyone, let anyone tell you no.
Jim found me on LinkedIn, sends me a Google Doc, and I'm like, honestly, dog, who is Mr. Beast? What is Feastables? Wow. What is this? I wanted to take the chance on Feastables.
And you could be running into a wall that you should have seen from 50 miles away, but you were too headstrong, too know-it-all to just ask for advice. And now, brand's moving 100 miles an hour.
You need to own your
Don't care. That's targets which demographic, at which store, in which aisle do you want to be in. All the hard work of the people in the warehouse, the factory, started the brand, all of it is getting sullied by that first touch point.
Put yourself in your customer's shoes, take a look at the entire journey. You can pinpoint where things might need to be fixed, or you can even continue doubling down on. I will fix your CX.
There are very esoteric things you have to do that would be foreign to people that are not in the industry. Anyone who can command that ecosystem, I see always having a lot of success. This episode of the E-Commerce Hotline was recorded July 25th, 2024, and features Jess Cervellon, the founder of the Open Link Collective. Jess is also an experienced customer experience professional. Veteran. She's a veteran of the war of the customers. She's a veteran. All right, ready? All right, go. Hold on. This episode of the E-Commerce Hotline was recorded July 25th, 2024, and features Jess Cervellon, the founder of the Open Link Collective and a veteran customer experience professional who helped launch brands such as Feastables by Mr. Beast. On this episode, Jess details her career trajectory, her experience working at multiple startups, why she founded her agency, and how customer experience is a competitive advantage for brands. I admire Jess very much, and this is an episode I'm delighted to bring you. I'm Mayor Bianchi. This is episode 13 of the E-Commerce Hotline, The Lost Tapes Part 3, featuring Jess Cervellon of the Open Link Collective. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the E-Commerce Hotline. I'm your host, Mayor Bianchi, and I'm here today with Jess Cervellon, the founder of the Open Link Collective. Many of you may know her as one of the most recognizable faces in CX. For those who don't know, that's customer experience, which we're going to get into a lot today. But Jess is literally one of the stars of the DTC world, one of the most in-demand people, and I am lucky enough to have her here on the E-Commerce Hotline podcast. So welcome, Jess. Thank you for making time, and I'm really excited to have you here today. And also, I think you're a podcast host too, so you've been doing this a lot longer than I have. And welcome. So why don't you just introduce yourself a little more and tell the guests about yourself and what you're up to?
Yeah, thanks, Doggy. Thanks for having me on. So I'm Jess. Before I was the founder of Open Link Collective, I previously was the VP of Customer Experience at Feastables, the Mr. Beast brand. I started that brand with my not with with homies that I've become homies with, but I was a operator of that brand, not a co-founder. And that is honestly my first e-commerce job, actually, which is really ironic. And so then before that, I worked in a lot of startups. Like Feastables was actually my 5th startup that I ever worked at. And I worked mostly in the B2B world, from either customer experience and product marketing.
Okay.
So I actually say that I am more of a marketer than I am a CXer because my ethos as a marketer comes from the heart of being customer obsessed, and why I've now created the Open Link Collective. So we'll get into that, and that's my short spiel.
Well,
and I also went to art school.
Oh, you went to art school? Okay, now we have a kindred spirit because both my parents are artists and my dad went to art school. So shout out to the people with art school degrees using it in many different ways that you never might have anticipated at the time. It was well worth it despite what you think, because you wouldn't be who you are if you didn't do that. So first question, because now I have to go on a tangent. What did you go to art school for? What type of media?
Yeah. So I actually went to school for fashion. fashion marketing specifically, but the art school that I went to, you had to like learn a lot of different things, like obviously like drawing and
Yes.
graphic design
They
and
put
all
you
these
through
pieces and painting.
They put you through all the things you don't want to do. That's why I dropped out of my art program, because I wanted to touch computers and they wanted me to touch paper. It wasn't quite a good fit. And are you willing to shout out your alma mater, or they don't deserve the shout out?
They don't really deserve it.
Okay, y'all can Google.
I'm gonna be honest with you, because art schools be a little crazy. For profit,
really
you know,
they mismanage their human and capital resources or whatever. And you can always find it. You know, they who should not be named. Thank you for your story and Jess's arc. So anyway, tangent aside, how did you get into e-commerce then? Right, like if Mr. Beast, okay, you just went from zero to one of the most recognizable media personalities, brands who apparently the chocolate's good, but those could be sycophants. I've never tried it yet, but I will one day. How did you get into e-commerce from where you came? You know, what was the story, like jumping jacks?
Yeah, so Feastables was definitely, like I said, my 5th startup, right? And so I had worked at other startups before, like travel industry, health tech, cybersecurity, like a variety of different places. And I was looking for a new position after this health tech company. I was like still working there, but I had always wanted to get into e-commerce as like the next transition, especially coming from like art school and being in fashion, understanding marketing from like a selling point of view of like a product, right? But like, to be honest with you, man, like nobody would give me an opportunity. There were so many jobs that I applied for and people would be like, oh, you really need D2C experience, or oh, you really need this. I mean, I'm not going to name names, but there's some like big brands that are on the market that like did not hire me. I went through a long process, but did not hire me.
Let me just interrupt you there and say that is their loss. You should feel sorry right now for not taking a chance on this talent, because I know what it's like to not be considered because you don't have the traditional background. And guess what? Here we are anyway, shining. So listen to anyone in your career. Don't let anyone tell you no. You got to believe in yourself and know what you want and persevere. And it helps to have friends and it helps to have relationships. But anyway, so then you couldn't find a break-in, and then what happened?
Yeah. So I couldn't find a break-in, but side note though, I do want to say that like for every no you get, there's a yes out there somewhere.
Of course, so, never get discouraged.
No, and also you have to like divine timing. Like I hate to be like woo-woo in the universe, but it's like, it's so true. Like I feel like I needed to do so many different things to lead me up to even getting Feastables. So, and this is exactly what I was saying on like divine timing. So like at the time of working at that health tech company, I was actually living in DC. I lived there for a really short time. It's like a really long story, but story for another day. Short time, decided, okay, well, I wasn't ready to go back to California, so I wanted to move to Chicago because like I just like wasn't ready to go back to
halfway. So you went halfway.
Living. Yeah. So moved to Chicago, and had I never moved to Chicago, Jim, our old CEO from Feastables, would have never found me because he actually found me on LinkedIn.
Yes.
He found me on LinkedIn, like through a recruiter, but like this recruiter essentially like was like looking for a customer service lead.
Mm-hmm.
And he reaches out to me in DM and he's like, hey, Jess, would you be interested in this job? Sends me a Google Doc. And I'm like, honestly, dog, I was like, who is Mr. Beast? What is Feastables? What is this? And I was actually in the process of like another job. I actually got this other job from a health tech company, turned them down, like accepted it and then turned them down because I wanted to take the chance on Feastables. But I still never knew anything really about Mr. Beast at the time. But I was like, no, like this feels right. Like I really want to take the chance and like do this job. And and I took the job at Feastables and being like 4th employee.
And what year was this?
2021.
It's been a blur. Yeah. Okay, so just in the last 3+ years. Keep going.
Yeah. So the cool thing is, and I said this, like, I think that like divine timing and also like everything that you need to learn like brings you up to like moments, right? Mm-hmm. I think that like had I never worked at all of those B2B companies and like leading either like product marketing or customer experience, I don't actually think I would have been able to deliver the right customer experience for Feastables. Well, I think I would have looked at it as like a support perspective and not like a community building and digital experience perspective.
Yeah, and that's like what I like about what you're doing is it puts a name to something that some people have always felt. Like, this is not to just go into detail about my background, but the point is I come from every background but agency. I've worked as every role in an e-commerce setting. I've worked in every role in a retail setting. I've been a customer. I understand the different pain points. That's why I like talk about empathy-driven commerce, because for me, that's what was my superpower. I was always a customer champion. I was the guy working at the merchant trying to get things done. So I had to work with outside parties or understand the complaints that were coming in to better serve the situation. And so I love that now people that do that, right? And there's more to this and we're gonna get into it, but I like that there's now a name for it and brands are starting to recognize that as a superpower, as opposed to, like you said, like, oh, we need a head of customer support, but it doesn't really, it's not the same thing. And so, it's like, it's almost as like you were auditioning for this role for 10 years without even knowing it, meaning, and like, once again, luck is preparedness meeting opportunities. So you were prepared and you were seeking that, but the opportunity found you. It wasn't just like linear, you know? And so, so then what was working there, like a crazy crash course, since obviously anything that gentleman, I believe his name is, I just had it on the tip, Jimmy, anything my man Jimmy, Mr. Beast, puts his name on has a Beatles level of hysteria around it.
Yeah.
Wherever he goes, there's legions of people, and he's the most watched YouTuber in the world. So you didn't know all that coming in, which probably helped you just like focus, not be starstruck. Well, so like, what happened?
Yeah. Well, to be honest with you, at that time, I forget how many followers he had then, but like he actually wasn't as big as like he is today. That transition has grew even further. He hadn't even hit 100 million then, but I mean, like, obviously,
only
like, people
100.
knew who he was. Yeah, but like, obviously, like, people knew who he was, but it was like, it was also being a part of like that transition of like superstardom too. You know?
Yeah, like maybe he didn't have the village in North Carolina yet, but he was already big time. Like, I can't remember the exact date I heard of Mr. Beast, but like he's been around. You know, like this wasn't once again perfect example of 10 years to be an overnight success. He dropped out when he was 12. No, sorry. When he was 12 or whatever, 13, he had a health issue, couldn't play sports, had to keep YouTubing. As you know, I'd like to study Mr. Beast a little bit. Then his mom wasn't about it, started community college, dropped out to pursue. Mom was like, get out. And he believed in himself that much. And I think he's only 25 now. So it's been you're right. It's been like a 10-year arc. It's not like, and he's only hitting critical mass. But for example, when did Squid Games drop?
I think it dropped in like 2021 or
2020, somewhere around there, because his videos like that Squid Games recreation was his biggest one. And the point is
it was after Feastables. It was definitely after the time that I like worked at Feastables. Like, I'm going to be honest with you, working also for Feastables and like with Mr. Beast, like community, dog. It is like, and I think just like honestly working in startups is just, you are in like hyper speed and you forget things. Like, I feel like I like worked there for 10 years, but I really only worked there for like 2.5.
Well, yeah. And also you were there for the brand launch. Like, the brand went public in the beginning of 2022, but that means you were part of the Ninja Stealth setup.
Oh yeah.
And there was like veteran DTC, like Jim Murray, right? That was the guy from RX Bar, which was a big brand. So once again, what I admire about Mr. Beast, all other controversial current events aside that may be happening in the news right now, all other things aside, that guy knows how to put together the best people. That guy knows how to unite the forces of the world. And that's something I admire, is he's taken his platform, taken a lot of money from corporations, but then redirected it to other people for the sake of getting views. And I think that's like a noble thing that all the big celebrities should do, right? You have this ability to do good in the world because of your stature and redirecting it. So making the brand was another way to make a physical impact on the world.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, like, let's also shout out not just Mr. Beast in it, but like when we launched, we were under 10 people. It was Jim Murray, it was Tom Melcher, our COO, Josie Newell. She ran like supply chain, like analyst stuff, but like really like a lot of like bones behind supply. Myself, we had one community manager, Katie, and then we also had head of marketing, which was Ben Acott, my homie for life, and we had my girl Danny, she was in CX with me, and it was just literally only a few of, and Marina, sorry.
Shout outs to Marina.
She was also running like brand strategy. And like literally the day we launched, we were in the WeWork on North Green Street, not even in Chicago, in like on a Saturday. And we're like, don't even know what we got, like what we're doing, right? And like we're launching in the middle of a WeWork, nobody's there. And it just blew up like overnight. And I think it's really important for sure of like taking the Mr. Beast perspective of it, but the people who built Feastables are very industry veterans.
No, that's what I'm saying. He brought together the team of already winners. You don't, once again, it's not like just because it was Mr. Beast, he was like, I need the best source. I need the best inventory. I need the best marketing. Like that's what I'm saying is I admire that the most, is people that don't just say, let me slap together some garbage. Like he put together a great team. And in contrast to some of the other Mr. Beast named ventures, Feastables is a 100% success, unlike Mr. Beast Burger, which was an abject failure, but still made publicity. This was like a product that is well respected. People have said it's delicious chocolate, etc. Like it's sold in stores. You know, it's a very successful brand. So I would say that's definitely a product of the hard work of the team that built it.
Yeah. And I think that like something to be learned, like besides like the Mr. Beast model, but like even just like general like creator brands, like something to be learned between that like Mr. Beast Burger and Feastables is that Feastables was run, we were brought in to bring that to market. Whereas like Mr. Beast Burger was like a license deal with somebody, with like another corporation.
Yeah, it was a
and
ghost
then like
kitchen.
ghost kitchens.
It did not, exactly. It wasn't like a quantity play or something where it's like, oh, like, you know, it was definitely not really like, that's what I'm saying. It was built, that one was kind of built to fail in a way, like meaning like of course it didn't do as well because there was not as much heart and soul in it versus Feastables was like, let me assemble the NBA dream team of making food bars and make it happen, you know? So it was like, I think that shows having a great foundational team. If you're a brand owner or a brand creator, as a solo entrepreneur myself, I could not be here without some of the great people I've worked with along the way, and still wish I had more of, you know what I mean? Like from the start, co-founders or people that were like, hey, this is the foundational team, because then you would make less mistakes on the journey, or you can navigate the waters better.
I mean, listen, I think we're all going to make mistakes whether we have a good co-founder or not, but at least you like the founder journey, at least you're not alone on it. You know what I mean? And we're humble enough, just as like two entrepreneurs, like now chatting, we're humble enough to know that when you don't have the right skills for something and know when to like bring somebody else in.
Yeah. You know? And I think that like definitely, because like I've worked for so many great people. So that's always been like the foundation of my ideology is like, I love the fact that I know people that are talented, and then it's friends, family, like it's not just in a work context. It's just, that's something I'm really passionate about, is like leveraging that, because that's what makes you special. Right. Like, and so alongside just people being good people. So on that note, you left Feastables, you're on the circuit talking about CX everywhere. You host a podcast with is it with Laura Mena also?
No. Okay, so I have a podcast called The Juice with Jess, and that is it's a CX and marketing podcast. So I have a lot of like guests on across like all sorts of different industries, but to talk about CX. And then simultaneously, I also, because top of funnel marketing for my agency, dog, is Laura, my co-founder of Open Late. We also have a LinkedIn Live program that we do called After Hours Live, and we do brand breakdowns. So, and we'll go through everything from like brand strategy, consumer insights, marketing, and CX. But I mean, I love media and I love creating media and I love a microphone. So I will create multiple opportunities to do so.
As we are today. So then backing up the truck a minute. So you and Laura co-founded the Open Late Collective. Now, for those of us watching, tell us about, or listening, what is the Open Late Collective? What do y'all do? And it's clearly exciting.
Yeah. So Open Late Collective is basically our marketing and CX agency.
Okay.
We have 4 main pillars: brand strategy, consumer insights, marketing, digital marketing, and CX. So Open Late was actually started because the last year of working at Feastables, I was actually working fractionally
Okay.
as either a marketing leader or CX leader across like a few different brands. I was trying to like broaden my horizons a little bit, like do a little bit more fun stuff. And then when I decided to leave Feastables, I then decided like, okay, I'm gonna do an agency. And Laura also worked with me at Feastables. She was a part of the OG team as well.
What was her role?
And she ran brand strategy and consumer insights.
All right,
She
keep
was
going.
actually the brains behind the Feastables rebrand. And so her and I decided to bring Open Late to light, but we also have a third person from Feastables. Danny, who runs all of my CX stuff, is also working with us along with like two other individuals, Kelly and Louise. But
That's why it's a collective.
yeah, it's a collective, and that's my point, is like it is a collective because it like started as this like fractional thing, and then I was like, oh well, okay, I have this project. Oh, Danny, like you wanna like work on more CX stuff? Come on down.
That's
my
the way.
homegirl Kelly, like she actually wanted to break into CX and nobody would give her an opportunity, and I was like, let's put you on the fast track of understanding what CX is. And then Laura wanted to do brand strategy and insights for people, so and I like marketing at my core, I wanted to like do more of marketing things from like a CX ethos. So that's how we became a collective as like the girl gang. But then simultaneously though, we also contract in a lot of people on like different projects, like where sometimes we'll run a project that maybe has social media and like maybe it's like I don't really do social media. Like I do it for my personal brand, but like I don't really want to do that for like brands.
Understood.
So I will bring somebody into like projects or, you know, performance ads. Like I have somebody that flexes in and out. But that's like my point though, is like it's a collective because essentially we're just working across brands fractionally on like different capacities, and we'll flex people in and out on projects. So like people can make a little side cash. Or they can also do, like, if they are 100% a freelancer, they can freelance with us.
That's why
like,
it's a collective.
Exactly. And so, like, we just have, like, because of working at Feastables and just, like, my overall career, like, we have a lot of, like, dope people in the ether
I could not agree with you more.
And that we can collab with. So it's also called Open Late Collective because I used to work before 9 and after 5. So it was a joke to call it Open Late. Now it's really called Open Late.
Yeah, now you really do work late all the time. Meaning you already did, but now it's like part of the, you know, since you're working with a lot of clients, got to make it happen. So availability is big. And I was going to say, I love that philosophy. I think that's a great way to harness the skill sets of the various peoples you've met and put people on and give them opportunities. Like that's what I have sought to do with my company as well. You know, people who have been clients have become people that work with us, or vice versa. Like, you know, you meet someone along the way or whatever, you know, and it's just like, hey, I know this person, they're really good at that. Same thing, you know, and there's some things that are easier to collectivize, and there's some things that are easier to say, hey, I'd like to introduce this person, but you don't want to be responsible for it. I admire the way you navigate the waters, and I think that's great. And I also think in this specific world of DTC, and I don't know if you're just exclusive DTC brands, etc. I just think you have a very specific spirit where it's like it's a mindset, or it's a commonly applied challenge set. Like I'm not maybe finding the best words, but it's like not just a repeatable process, but there are very esoteric things you have to do or strategies you have to apply that would be foreign to people that are not in the industry. And so it becomes kind of like a self-perpetuating engine, for better or for worse. But anyone who can command that or have command of that ecosystem, I see always having a lot of success. And so that's why, like, to me, someone who's been, all right, I've been in my career for 20 years, 10th year of my company, but then you see people like Jess Cervellon come out of nowhere and then just everywhere, you know? So I would just say, like, that's a testament to everything, you know? So I would just say that's, for me, for someone who's been here for a long time, but not necessarily just in DTC, but more in e-commerce, retail, and technology, it's like wonderful when you see people really stand out, because that means they're obviously doing great things for a lot of people. And that's why, like I said, I'm humbled to have you on, really excited to continue this conversation.
Yeah. Thanks, Doggy. I mean, I think it's really important that, like, and this is just kind of like advice to anybody.
Yes.
I think the one thing that nobody could ever take from you is your personal brand. And it's not about, oh, okay, like I'm going to go put out a bunch of material for myself, but it's also of like, if I want to be known for something in the space, it's really like helping other people like build their brand. And in order to do that, like, and I'm a marketer, so like in order to do that, I got to go and like put out things for people that like they find beneficial, you know?
That's amazing. I had somewhere I was going to go with that, but either way, I think that's cool because it's not just about helping yourself, it's about helping everyone. And
yeah,
I find that that's the best way to make the world go round, is to not just look out for yourself.
yeah.
So thinking there was a specific direction I wanted to go. Oh yeah. So in your current, let's just say Q3 2024, that's when this is recorded. Who knows when it's going to come out, hopefully soon. But in the Q3 2024 perspective, what is the stuff you're most excited about right now? Because, so like, look, I want to talk a lot about CX on this episode because that's a really hot topic, but you obviously encompass more disciplines. What is the biggest trend or the thing with your clients, the challenges you're trying to solve? Like, what is something that you want to bring to the world that's happening right now that not everyone may know about, or even maybe they do, but your perspective on it?
Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest, I don't really know how to, like, it's so broad, but
Yes.
the one thing that comes to my mind is like what I've been helping a lot of brands do, like Laura and I actually, is it's a really interesting time. So I think that e-commerce has had its surge, right? During COVID, like everybody was like ordering things online. And then now, you know, we're 4 years away from 2020. And like, there's obviously like still things that we're like learning or doing and like, you know, in our consumer habits that we've maintained. But I think what's really interesting about what I'm finding is that a lot of consumers actually want to go and touch and feel something in store. And so what I'm seeing is like a trend with the consumers, well, like more so shifting to retail. So one of the things that I've been helping a lot of clients with is, yes, like we'll set up on the D2C. So if like you're brand new to the market, we're definitely here. We're here to help you with like brand strategy, the insights, the marketing, the CX piece. But then on the whole other side of it, we're also seeing a surge of customer or clients who come to us for, they've like done some things in D2C, but now they're really prepping to go into more heavy hitter on like omnichannel, like across retail, right?
Yep,
and I don't mean just like
where it's at.
Right. And like, I don't mean just like just doing, you know, Amazon or like retail store. I mean like overall taking all of those pieces like Instacart and GoPuff and all of these like digital omni-channel pieces as well as the physical omni pieces.
Yes.
And then how do you create a cohesive customer experience? And like not from a support perspective, but like how do you continuously have your on-shelf messaging then translate to your digital messaging and ensuring that it's a cohesive customer experience across all of these channels. That's the challenge that I've been finding a lot of brands in like the e-commerce world facing is like, okay, cool, we've been here, but now it's time to go like step our game up and go to the next level. So what does that mean to take your customer experience to omni-channel? And it means a variety of different things. It's like, it's not just your brand strategy. It's also knowing who your consumer is. It's also like understanding like how does that shift for your digital community, your customer support, your digital marketing? Because the other thing is, and this is a hot take, but people also think like, oh, I'm going to go to retail. Okay, cool. I don't need to keep doing my customer profiling and like understanding that. I'm like, listen, my dudes and dudettes, okay? You need to own your fucking list. I told you it was a hot take.
It's okay. Meaning they don't care. Hey, that's Target's problem. But no, it's like which demographic at which store in which aisle do you want to be in?
Yes. Yes. And like, so it's like understanding like all of those pieces, but also like bridging that gap in the digital experience to make sure that you're also owning those lists so you can get that first party data back into your digital store too.
Can I give a very specific shout out? And it's actually relevant because this episode is going to debut before your episode. So this is a back to the past, back to the future because it hasn't been published yet. shout outs to Kate Stevens from Bridge, because she's also pushing the omnichannel revolution. And I think it resonates a lot with what you said, because that it just brands who just, like you said, oh, we just want to be in retail. Nope. It's really about what does that bring to you, or how does that tie into your entire goals for your company? Because say you did not consider that before founding a brand. Now you're like, oh, I'm ready to be sold in stores. Well, the category managers or the buyers or whoever's you're selling to, who's going to put your products in their store, what if there was a competing product that's far too similar to yours, but you didn't know about it because you weren't in that research? Or so I think companies like the Open Lake Collective help brands avoid those mistakes. Especially if you're newer or you're considering these strategies, it's like you're playing defense and offense at the same time. And you could be running into a wall that you should have seen from 50 miles away, another hot take, but you were too egotistical, too headstrong, too know-it-all to just ask for advice. And now your brand's moving 100 miles an hour and you hit a brick wall, and now you can't grow. Your investors are knocking on your door. Everybody's frustrated, and you feel terrible because you didn't make the right moves ahead of time. So your hot take was met with another hot take, and now it's an inferno of hot takes that you really need to consider that, because otherwise you're in for a world of trouble.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. It's like, if we're seeing the trend of customers wanting to like feel something in store, so that means that like a customer is going to go into store to like discover it, but then how do you loop them back into your community and the lifestyle of, or the routine of utilizing your brand, right?
Yeah. Or how do you, they found it in the store. Now, how do you get them in the Instagram feed and touching them at all points of the journey? Yeah.
And that, my friend, is like understanding that customer experience from every piece of that journey. And how do you just make them talk to each other? But also, like, I think that the problem doesn't necessarily, and I don't want to say it's even a problem. I think it's a challenge, but I think what's interesting too is that, and I find this internally with like e-commerce brands, like, okay, I'm an e-com operator and maybe I don't really know a lot about retail. So then you bring in retail people into like the e-com brand, and then people like feel like maybe threatened a little bit, but it's like, maybe instead of doing that, like we should all be thinking together about like, how do we digitally market to like both sides of this audience and work together to create that strategy?
Yeah, it's leverage. If you think about it, I mean, once again, you could hot take the hot take, but it's like your goal as a brand is multiple things when you're in the store, right? Yes, keep that store ordering, sell through, order more quantity, get more shelf space, all of that. But don't you also want to get customers into your native channels from that? Like, customer buys the product, they fall in love with the brand, now they're looking you up online. Well, why wouldn't you want them buying from you directly and subscribing potentially, right? So what I meant that could be hot takeable there is, I don't want to send counterintuitive messages, but that's one of the goals, right? And you can perhaps verify this, is these places where your product can be found, all roads lead back to the top. So make those roads easier to follow.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. And I think, you know, the other side of it too is like when we talk about customer experience and why it's not just like support, like customer experience needs to be thought about like from a brand marketing perspective and like just every marketing perspective, is like the other thing is like, if we're all leading these roads, like both on shelf or digitally, right? How do you consistently have the same message across all of your marketing channels? Because the other trend that we see is like, so many brands want to make content. So many brands want to do content marketing. That's really sick. They're really doing it. But how do you create that consistency across all of your content and all of your channels too, so that you're like giving the right message from between like what I've had on my packaging to what I've had in my emails to what I've have in like my social channels, or maybe it's like a founder story on YouTube, right? Like, how do you consistently give the same message to your customer so that they want to keep purchasing you? And lastly, the last piece of this is that in order to actually market to your customer and build loyalty, you have to have not only consistency of being seen in places, but the same message across the board to then build that routine of you being the brand for them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like it's as if you're saying, it may be coming from different voices, but the core message needs to be reached.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like the core message needs to get through. Like meaning you're not going to be in Ulta Beauty maybe saying the same thing you're saying on the shelf in another store that doesn't have the same vibe, but the end goal, like how you position the product may be different in different places, but the end goal is you want people to get the same message or ideology.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the same message, I think it's just like the same consistent experience.
That's too. Consistency. Yes. So, and also I feel like the brands that do that, I'm trying to think of who comes to mind, but there's ubiquitous 100-year-old household names that have been very good about that, right? Those are the textbook cases of companies that have done that well.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just so interesting. I think just like the marketing to a customer and that overall customer experience is like, there's so many shifts that are happening in the market. And like, it's like, you have to keep up with all the trends constantly, but it's like, it's across e-commerce, it's across retail, it's across different disciplines within your org. It's just like, you have to create that customer centricity.
Yeah. And then I guess like what CX means to me is all of that, right? So for example, a lot of like when I was working on the brand side, for example, or even when advising brands that we work with, it's like sometimes people are so busy, they forget that they can pick up the phone and call someone and be like, hey, how was your experience? Or what happened? And then like, and a lot of the time it's like, once again, it can seem counterintuitive because you're spending time in an area where globally you maybe don't have time. But that for me was always the most like rewarding part of it, was understanding who they are, why this matters, what's so important to them. And that kind of goes into everything, right? Like for example, if you're selling furniture, the people need the furniture because they're setting up a home or they're setting up something. So if that furniture comes broken or doesn't get delivered or something else happens, that can impact their first moments in a new home or a new apartment. Vice versa. I was in like kitchen, bath, lighting. People are doing a project. The bathtub needs to be here by this date because a contractor is coming to install it. And if the pieces are not there at the right time, it cascades to a delay on the whole project or additional costs. And if you don't put yourself in that person's shoes or understand the perspectives of why someone's buying something and why they need it, you're never gonna, you're treating them as a commodity. And that means they might see your product as a commodity. And the most successful brands are the ones that transcend commoditization and have real meaning. And I would just say that's like at the core of this discipline, because customer experience, customer service, customer lifetime, customer cycle, customer success, all these words are thrown around, but one word's consistent: customer. Because without no customers, no one would exist. No businesses can exist without their customers. It's a completely symbiotic relationship. Of course, the customer is the one who's spending the money, so they have more power in that dynamic. But at the same time, companies may make their products tiered. They make different grades of products, different things that result in a different experience. Like Riverside FM, for example, for all you undercover wannabe podcasters out there like myself, they gate 30 frames per second behind enterprise. You cannot record on Riverside FM at 30 frames per second, even though every camera in the world records at 30 frames per second by default, 29.97. Why? Because they know that's what the YouTube algorithm likes. So they're like, what feature can we pull back artificially to make people pay more? And that to me has resulted in a very poor customer experience. It's a great product. It's a great service, but y'all are a bunch of assholes for taking something that everyone needs and gating it behind a ridiculous paywall, when you could easily do it differently. Sure, you could invent a technological reason why you have to charge 10 times as much, 20 times as much for a simply native feature with every other platform. And it's just a poor business decision, in my opinion, and not enough people know about it. I just found out about it last night. Not really, it doesn't matter to me. It's neither here nor there, but it's a great example in the SaaS world. We see that over and over and over and over again. ClickUp. All these services people depend on, they like get you hooked, but then they make your life miserable unless you pay more. And that's what I like about physical goods, is they don't do that.
Yeah. Well, I actually wanted to give you a SaaS example. I don't want to name names of this company, but like I know a SaaS example that is,
I'm gonna
it's really
guess.
interesting.
Just kidding. I'm not gonna guess. Keep going.
And it's really interesting because they are a SaaS company that is made for customer experience agents. Okay.
It's only a
And
handful.
what's
Keep going.
yeah. But what's really interesting, and I've like run across it like in my experience with some of my clients, is like it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna like we're putting out this tool. It's all like this tool is gonna be so great. It's gonna cure your problems, right? But it's like built by an engineer. Fine, not a big deal.
Yeah.
But it's like built by engineers, but then like even the language that like they speak in within like the feature sets don't actually make sense to like a customer experience person, right? And then not only that, is it so complicated to like actually install and actually do the things, then they don't offer a good customer success program. And like the individuals in like customer success that I've like encountered in like my installs have been just not helpful, like
And-
making you feel
Yeah.
like a jerk,
Making
you know?
you feel like you're bothering them. And so that is
Yeah.
if new trend, e-commerce hotline, pet peeve. This is a pet
Yeah.
peeve of mine as well, because how are you guys getting Series E, Series D, Series Z, and you're worth hundreds of millions of dollars, billions of dollars, and you walk around with your nose all high and you think you're the best in the world, yet on this fundamental basic concept, you are failing as an organization. If you are the CEO of this company, I'm not even going to guess because I have a good feeling who it might be. If you're the CEO of this company and you're listening, you should call somebody right now and change this. I know it's hard to affect change so fast, but that's literally the experience I see people having. Or they have the audacity to ask you to pay hundreds, if not thousands of dollars a month. And then they treat you like an employee, like it's your job to spend 10 extra hours a week of your time learning this software so that that could become part of your job responsibilities. So now you're basically working for the technology instead of the technology working for you. And it's shameful. The practice needs to stop. And obviously, yes, companies with more resources, less resources, it's hard to execute this. Nothing is easy, right? I think we can all agree that it's easier to talk about it than to be about it. But I'm saying at the same time, it's so common sense if you've come from the background we've come from, that it's like you want to bang your head because it would just be like you guys could have, it's like you were the chosen one and you were Anakin Skywalker. You could have done everything right, but now you've turned to the dark side. And it's unfortunate, in my opinion, because you see that time and time again. And then you can translate that to brands, right? You may have a great product, but if you have a terrible frontline customer support experience, you have now just sullied the reputation and all of it, all the hard work of the people in the warehouse, all the hard people in the factory, all the hard work of the people who started the brand, all of it is getting sullied by that first touch point. Because if somebody has a bad experience on the front end and they're not the type of person who's like, I want to talk to a manager or complain, because it's exhausting to complain, right? As a parent, as an advocate, whoever you are, you're advocating for, it is exhausting and you feel bad. Like you said, you still walk away with a bad feeling. And so that is where my passion for CX comes from, is born of those experiences, because it feels so natural to make someone's life easier. Yet some people do it deliberately, make people's lives harder. And it's very odd.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, you're like, even from a brand example, this actually like recently happened to me. I'm like such a stan for this one brand.
Yeah.
Like such a stan for it. I like love their products. I'm like
you've
telling
been
people
hyping it
about
up.
it. I'm making content about it. And guess what happened, my dog?
Oh, I want to know.
I ordered the mouth tape. I'm not going to name names. You are looking. You can go look at the content and figure out who I'm talking about. I ordered the mouth tape and I'm putting it on subscription. Okay, I'm like sick. I'm a girl who loves a routine. And I don't want to think about it, and I'm an e-commerce girl, so I will buy things on subscription. I ordered the mouth tape, and all of my subscriptions normally tell me, "Hey, your order is coming up for renewal." Like just to warn you. Had I gotten that email from this company, I probably would have skipped my order. Here's why. Because I did not get any notifications about like when my second order came through, that they were out of stock of it. So then when it came into stock, then they sent me the subscription. But then a week later, my next July order was coming through and I didn't get a notification about it. It just said, this is on your way. And so then I reached out to customer experience and I was like, hey, listen, like there wasn't an option to skip this. I didn't get a notification. I already have too much of this. Is it possible to get a refund, send it back, cancel it, whatever? I have not gotten a response and it's been 5 days. Listen, I'm still a stand for this company because I really like the mouth tape. I really like the tools and the skincare and stuff. But I'm going to tell you, please call me. I will fix your CX for you and your retention program.
Here's the question. You know how like you probably with like 2 degrees of separation could find the CEO of that company or the person responsible for this mess. But how exhausting is that from an outward perspective for you to go waste more of your time doing that? And you're a consumer, right? You're not acting as just the CX lord. You're, you are, but at the same time, it's like as a normal person who wants to go through that and it's like so frustrating because this is now an American consumer discussion. As an American consumer, I'm exhausted by the fact that it's more work to go fight for your $20 back than it is to just let it go. But you're not just letting it go. That's another notch on the headboard of justice that one day the American consumer will seek of all you greedy brands, all you greedy people out there who are taking and not giving, because that's what I'm exhausted. I'm a father of a family. I'm an owner of a business. When you have something come up, even medical billing, right? I caught my own primary care physician's doctor's office either stealing from the insurance companies or they sent me a notice, hey, this bill is due, and it was $100. Swear to God, same bill, same everything. I waited a month because I just didn't bother to pay it. Now the bill is $40 less. So you're telling me if I was going to pay it a month ago, you would have taken my extra 40, but now that a month has passed, it's less. So how many other times have you ripped me off with this type of balance billing type insurance that I have? On and on and on, and so many examples like that. And I get it. You're squeezed, your staff is squeezed, the whole system is squeezed, but something's got to give. And that's why I'm literally so passionate about CX. I just want to pause for a second and say I'm cognizant of the time because I know you may have a stop. So let's just take a second. Hard stop. Yeah. You have a hard stop in 5 minutes, right?
Yeah. I do,
okay.
Actually.
So I'm just declaring now that if you found this interesting, we're going to find a way to do this again. Maybe if Jess says yes, but I would like to find a way to do this again in more of a live format, call-in format, get a little more Clash of the Titans on just complaining about this kind of stuff, but with a constructive end, because I think you can hear the passion that it ignites in people who study this for a living, let alone that people who are, you can always tie this to some other experience, right? You read about the family that was on a cruise, the ship left without them, stranded 8 people without their insulin medication in Alaska. Like there's all these stories you hear that are so common sense that it's very bad for publicly traded corporation to have this story hit the news. It's so much cheaper to just fix it on the front end. Or maybe their actuaries have decided it's not cheaper, and that's part of why the world is not always the best place. So I'll let you get the final word on that, and then I have one more question for you. Anything you want to close on this topic of how to turn this, what became a venting session for me, into a very constructive outcome? If you're a brand and you're watching this, or you're a CX leader and you feel strongly about it, you get in touch with Jess. But then 2, where do you want to leave people with this message? Because I don't want people to feel hopeless. If you're a brand owner, you could fix it. If you're a customer, what's out there?
I think absolutely, like everybody can fix this. I think that the bottom line is if you are selling a product or software to another individual, you need to develop a customer-centric org, meaning that every person in your org, and this is something I've learned in my past, but especially for Feastables, we cared about every single one of those people in that community, whether retail or e-commerce, and the experience that they're having in the community. And that's what created loyalty. It wasn't just like you purchased because of Mr. Beast. You purchased because you had a dope experience, whether digitally or in support or online. You had a great experience interacting with the brand and you wanted to continue coming back. So creating a customer-centric company is how you fix things. Put yourself in your customer's shoes and take a look at the entire journey of your customer, and you can pinpoint where things might need to be fixed or things that you can even continue doubling down on.
And that, first of all, that's very refreshing to hear. And the other angle of it is that, like, say you're a celebrity like Mr. Beast, like Gordon Ramsay, associating your name with Hexclad, going all in on Hexclad. If you're attaching your name to a product, that says so much about the product and about you. And let alone if you're not a recognizable celebrity, it's still, your reputation. And so
Yeah, absolutely.
It's also not as difficult to effectuate change as you think. Little things go a long way in that department. So
Yeah.
speaking of refreshing, as this conversation has been, I would like to give a shout out to Drink Sip, which is a refreshing non-alcoholic beer that I'm drinking at 2:12 in the afternoon on a Thursday, just because I want to taste this nice hazy IPA. They're a Shopify brand. Check them out. They'll be sold in stores everywhere, but based in Venice, California. So anyhow, Jess, I have one question for you before we let you go today. On the E-Commerce Hotline, we're very passionate about the cause of heart disease awareness due to my own personal experiences with genetic heart disease. And so I encourage anyone who's interested to learn more to just ask your doctor, get screened, talk to your doctor about your family heart health history. Screening could save lives, yours or someone you love. So Jess, is there a cause? It doesn't have to be medical. It could be anything societal or just in general, anything that you feel passionate about or you would like to shed some light on for the audience here.
Man, this is pretty broad, but
it's choose your own adventure. It could be anything.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a particular cause, just like one particular cause, but I think that causes that contribute to understanding the science behind why people are getting cancer in like different forms. And, just like any organization that is like helping to detect cancers earlier on, I think need extra care, extra help, because as a society, we are killing ourselves across the board with like a lot of processed foods, a lot of things in the environment. And, I've been affected by a lot of weird cancers in my family. So I think that those causes, whatever cause that is important to you or you've come across, I think that they deserve more highlighting and more money to figure out how the hell we're all getting cancer. That is dark. That is literally
it's
really
okay.
dark.
I have lost many family and friends to that, and for specific ones which are particularly devastating that people can only find out later in life. And I agree with you that if we as a society were more united on that, like for example in the United States, there are many chemicals in our food and beverages which are completely illegal in other places. So it's very interesting. We don't have to get into that now, but that is such a good concept to talk about. So we're going to that's a broad topic, but just wherever you are, support that in some way. So I just want to say thank you, Jess, for being a guest today, for taking your time to talk to me. This was an awesome conversation. I totally could have ranted another 20, 30 minutes just about that topic. Is there, where can people find you? I know you're big on LinkedIn. Look up Jess Cervellon. Look up the Open Late Collective. And is it openlatecollective.com?
Correct. Yeah. So openlatecollective.com to work with us. I also have a newsletter that I'm putting out every Sunday called... Well, no, that's just like a part of it. But
okay, well, keep going.
I do dope jobs. I have a newsletter called Sunday Postcards. You can find it at sundaypostcards.beehive.com.
Damn, I'm gonna sign up for that right now. Yeah,
and we talk about brand marketing, consumer insights, life cycle, everything.
Okay,
and dope
so
jobs.
then I'm just gonna shout out one more good thing that you're doing. I recently learned that you have a newsletter called Dope Jobs. Speaking of giving back, Jess is organizing, nexusing all of the dope jobs in CX or in e-com. And if you're on the hunt for a job, especially like we said, it's been a rough year for a lot of people and there's a lot of transition going on. Jess is one of the nicest people and can't guarantee you any jobs, but she has a source and a source of inspiration. And I was able to put that into practice on the ground floor with you in New York City, where I met someone who said they were looking for a new job and they were in your space. And I was like, you got to go talk to her. And I didn't even know about the newsletter. So thank you so much, Jess. This is the E-Commerce Hotline. I'm Mayor Bianchi. Just thank you for being here. I had a blast.
Thanks, Doggy. I'll talk to you soon.
If you need help with e-commerce but don't have time, call the E-Commerce Hotline. If you need help to make your store shine, call the E-Commerce Hotline. Your store needs improving, don't deny, gotta call E-Commerce Hotline. Call 888-499-3266, your store will be fine. 888-499-3266, make your store shine. E-Commerce Hotline, E-Commerce Hotline.